Okay, so don't mind my children in the background that you're going to hear. This is a class not only about doing a pedicure, but this is a class that we are going to discuss the intimate details of self-care, because self-care is more than just going to get your feet done at a salon. Okay, most people settle for that, and yeah, there's a certain satisfaction to looking down and seeing your feet well done, but there is so much that is missed, and that is your awareness of what situations are going on in your life and how they're affecting your body. You must remember always that your body is yours, it's not you. So, as you see in the pictures and in this video, instead of having rose petals floating around in my water, I chose that for two reasons. Number one, I didn't have any rose petals available on my rose bush, but also because pine supports the respiratory system. And in the respiratory system is our lungs and the oxygen in our blood. And blood holds joy. And that's why at Christmas time, when you smell that pine tree, it gives you joy because it's affecting your respiratory system. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that each toe represents a different area of life in and the details that are in that area. So, our pinkies represent our childhood and abundance issues. Our fourth toe represents our relationships. Our third toe represents work. Our second toe represents communication. And our big toe represents our destiny. Now, when you have soaked your toes for a while, it's easy to just scrape the dead skin off. And it's important to notice where you struggle getting the skin off. Most people have dead skin on their feet, and normally I don't, but I hit a situation in my life where things became so difficult that I had to ignore things. And when we ignore things, we become calloused in our heart. And as part of that, we get calluses on our feet, believe it or not, because we have to, it's an armor. We are protecting ourselves. And I realized that I don't need to think about it as having to protect myself. What I can think about is giving. What experience am I giving this person who I know that I love at least as much as a stranger? Because sometimes it's just hard to really understand the different levels of love when someone hurts you and when they show you deep feelings and abuse because they are angry. Even if you don't even know what reason that they're angry, it affects you and it closes your heart. At least that's what happens to me when I see someone talk to me wrong or say things that I thought, wow, I love this person so much and they can think of me like that. And so as you notice in this video, right now I am pulling at some dead skin on my heel, which our heels deal with the first chakra. And our first chakra deals with home and work and, the basic necessities of our lives. And as you can see, I have a lot of skin that I'm working on to pull off my foot so that I am able to have my soles as soft as the palms of my hands. Even though that I walk on my soles every day. I don't wear shoes normally because I'm usually home running around the house with my kids barefoot. It's just easier that way because I feel energy through my feet and I can pay attention to how I'm feeling. But sometimes, as you see here, I have had to ignore what it is that I am feeling in order to process and keep functioning in my life. And I don't want to do that anymore. So when I do the pedicure part of this video where I show you how to get off the extra pieces of dry skin to smooth them out, I will go into helping you see other choices of how you can deal with situations that are going on in your life, whether it be your man, whether it be your children, whether it be a friend. You know, they're all situations that you can deal with and let go and let God help you with. So often, we as Christian women don't look at ourselves because we think to give is better than to receive. But when we take care of ourselves, the quality of life that we experience is greater. And we're able to absorb more energy through a higher quality of life so that when it's our turn to give, we can give a greater abundance and it will be significant. And the people that we give to will feel it deeper. And I think that's so important because we look around us in the world and we see everybody else having these great lives. And here we are, you know, trying to do what's right, trying to follow Christ. And we can't do it. We struggle. And that is something that I think is really important for us to notice. Now, at the joint of our toes is our heart chakra. And I noticed where most of my dead skin was around my joint of my heart chakra, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm in a marriage that is struggling right now. And it was struggling all along, except that I didn't realize the signs and I didn't understand the details that were part of the situation. And so now that I understand them, sometimes I numb myself to them because I don't know how to make it better. And that's when I realized that I don't have to know how to make it better because I'm not one who can give another person salvation. That comes from Christ. And if we are able to open up our hearts and our minds to understanding how to enable the atonement of Christ to shine through us without making ourselves appear as saviors, because we're not, you know, we're just human. How can we calm ourselves and balance ourselves in such a way that whoever we're with will see what they need to be responsible for without us ever opening our mouths about it? And I'll tell you how. The secret is in living up to the highest potential that you can possibly do for yourself. And when they come around to judge you and say, oh, you're doing this because you want people to look at you, or you're doing this because you think you're so much better than whatever, you know, because I've had that happen to me where he said things that are very hurtful. In fact, he's even said prayers asking God for me to have gratitude, you know, and other things. And I'm like, you don't know how many times a day that I spend thanking God for all that I have right now and thanking him for what he's bringing into my life. You know, it's so important for people to talk in marriage, but you can't be the only one talking. You can't be. You got to allow the other person time to give them the opportunity to ask questions. And see, he's never just asked questions that would give him the answers to how I feel and the reason why I do things the way I do and the significance of it and how it feels for me, you know. And I think that I'm not the only woman going through this. In fact, I know I'm not. And I think that we as women need to step back from our relationships and stop abusing ourselves because of the lack of love that we receive or don't receive. You know, if we're not getting what we need, then we need to figure out how to, one, either be okay with it, or two, leave and get our act together and figure out the kind of life that we want to live, because this life is short and it's all about our choices, and it should never be tit for tat. It should always be, I'm going to choose to make decisions in my life that when I look back, I'm going to be proud of. And one thing I realized, is that sex should never be something that we feel obligated to do. It should be an expression of the deepest desires of the love that we feel in our heart. And that is so important, because we are not property. We are not owned. A man who's married to us must hold his marriage covenants every bit as much as we do. It has nothing to do with till death do you part, So I'm going to go ahead and dry up my feet while I tell you this one last thing, and that is always take care of yourself.